The Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation continues to analyze the military biological activities of the United States on the territory of Ukraine and other countries. As we have repeatedly noted, U.S. military biological activities pose a security threat to many states of the world, despite the fact that the stated goals of U.S. programs are to monitor the incidents and provide assistance to developing countries. In fact, we see the uncontrolled conduct of dual-use research by the Pentagon, bypassing international obligations under the BTWC. The projects of the U.S. military department are aimed primarily at studying potential agents of biological weapons, anthrax, tularemia, coronaviruses, as well as pathogens of economically significant infections, pathogenic avian influenza, and African swine fever. At the same time, there is a clear trend: pathogens that fall into the area of interest of the Pentagon, for example, COVID-19, bird flu, African swine fever, further become pandemic, and American pharmaceutical companies become the beneficiaries. We previously reported on the possible involvement of Big Pharma and the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, in the emergence of a new coronavirus. A key role in the implementation of projects to study this pathogen belongs to the intermediary organization EcoHealth Alliance. Since 2015, specialists from this company have been studying the diversity of the bat population, searching for new strains of coronaviruses and mechanisms for their transmission from animals to humans. In total, more than 2,500 individuals were studied. I recall that on October 18, 2019, 2 months before the first official reports of the emergence of a new coronavirus infection in China, Johns Hopkins University held an Event 201 exercise in New York to counter the epidemic of a previously unknown coronavirus, which, according to legend, was carried from bats to a person through an intermediate carrier through the body of a pig. The development of the pandemic according to this scenario, as well as the implementation of the projects of the EcoHealth Alliance, raise questions about the possible deliberate nature of COVID-19 and the involvement of the United States in this incident. The next step for the United States to implement its strategic plans for establishing global biological control was the creation of the Office of Pandemic Preparedness and Response Policy. Official information about the establishment of this office was posted on the White House website on July 21, 2023. It is assumed that the new structure will be responsible for setting the course and coordinating actions to combat known and unknown biological challenges, including pathogens that could trigger the next global emergency. The priority areas of this department include work on the creation of vaccines and drugs for stopping viruses and their genetically modified variants, as well as the introduction of advanced technologies in biological production. This structure will be headed by Special Assistant to the President and Senior Director for Global Health Security and Biological Defense at the National Security Council, retired Air Force Major General Paul Friedrichs. Thus, the United States, as in 2019, began preparing for a new pandemic by searching for virus mutations. We do not exclude the use by the United States of so-called defensive technologies for offensive purposes, as well as for the purposes of global governance by creating crises of a biological nature. At the same time, in an attempt to remove the concerns of the world community regarding its illegal activities in the biological field, the White House is creating a new state structure. The U.S. Army Research Institute for Infectious Diseases, currently headed by Colonel Constance Jenkins, will play a leading role in the military biological program of the military department. It should be noted that the institute was established at Fort Detrick on the basis of a bioweapons development facility, and it includes a biological laboratory with a maximum level of biological isolation, BSL-4. It is a core part of the Pentagon's Global Biological Surveillance System, IDS. Documents obtained during a special military operation indicate that this institution is directly involved in the collection of dangerous pathogens in various regions of the world, in the testing of unregistered drugs, as well as in the implementation of dual-use programs commissioned by the U.S. Department of Defense Threat Reduction Agency, DTRA. The U.S. Army Institute of Infectious Diseases has been involved in U.S. biological programs in Ukraine. Thus, representatives of the institute actively led projects code-named UP1 and UP8. As part of these projects, The possibility of using arthropods to spread rickettsia, tick-borne encephalitis virus, as well as causative agents of Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever and hantaviruses was studied. Representatives of the institute are actively working in South America, Africa, Transcaucasia, Southeast Asia. For this, the laboratory base of the divisions of the Naval Medical Research Center and the Walter Reed Institute of the U.S. Army is used. The 2014 to 2016 Ebola outbreak in Uganda, Kenya, Guinea, Liberia led to a significant expansion of the presence of U.S. Army Institute of Infectious Diseases employees in these African countries to obtain samples of live viruses of deadly diseases. Thus, the existing production and experimental base of the institute makes it possible to participate in the global monitoring of the biological situation and carry out a full range of military-applied work with dangerous pathogens, with components of biological weapons, including work to enhance the pathogenic properties of pathogens of dangerous human and animal diseases. The Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation received documents allowing to expand the Ukrainian military biological dossier. Today we would like to supplement this list with representatives of state institutions and private companies of Ukraine involved in the implementation of American military biological programs. These are the following people: Natalia Dudko, she was the project coordinator and senior specialist of the STCU. For 25 years, she has been coordinating more than 250 STCU projects in various scientific fields. Lyudmila Chernenko, she is the general director of the Public Health Center of the Ministry of Health of Ukraine. She appears on the list of Ukrainian specialists who took part in the implementation of US-funded research projects. Alexander Matskov. He is Deputy General Director of the Public Health Center of the Ministry of Health of Ukraine. He oversaw the overall implementation of the US-funded dual-use COVID-19 project. The Russian Defense Ministry continues to publish the names of officials of biotechnology corporations and other Pentagon contractors involved in the implementation of U.S. military biological programs in Ukraine.